Dumelang and welcome to Mommy Diaries. This show is about parenting, motherhood, and this amazing journey ya hodisa bana ba rona. On today's show, I have Kutlwano Masike. She's a postpartum author, and re tlo bua ka the topic ya depression. How are you, Kutlwano?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Who is Kutlwano? Like, for someone who doesn't know you, who is Kutlwano? Where are you from?
I was born in Hill 7, Western area in the West Rand.
Yeah.
I grew up that side. So people that don't know me, they should know that I'm a perfectionist. So I grew up, everywhere, sports, everything. I'm there, academics, I'm there. So yeah, I'm just aligned with, I'm a go-getter.
Yeah, very competitive.
Very competitive. Yeah, and sometimes a bit envious, but
Yeah. And have you always wanted to be a mother?
Yes, I've always wanted to be a mother. I've always wanted to be a mother. I think my mom will attest to this because I once told her at 15 years that I think I'm going to have a child at 24.
Really?
Yeah, and that's exactly
what happened. That tongue is powerful.
Yes,
yeah.
I became a mother at 24. I was like, I'm not going to wait that long.
Yeah.
I want to experience motherhood as early as possible.
Yeah.
So ke tla skipper 21 ka lefa chance nyana ka kry skia
after the key is on.
After the key is on, so you should expect anything. So yes, I did become a mother at 24.
Yeah. And your experience, pregnancy, how? Let's talk about that. Like the day you found out you were pregnant. Yes, you wanted to have a child at 24, but did you plan to be pregnant when you got pregnant?
I wouldn't really say I planned. I think before this pregnancy, I did have like a pregnancy loss before that.
Okay.
So this one wasn't really planned because I was still dealing with the previous miscarriage. So it just came as a shock to me, and I was like, okay, maybe this is the first start I need. So I was very happy about the pregnancy, but the pregnancy journey wasn't what I expected.
How was it?
I went through a lot in terms of my mental health wasn't okay at that state at the time, and emotionally I wasn't stable. I would like to put it that way. I had a lot of unaddressed issues that crept up a bit, but because you need to nurture this baby that you're carrying and you don't want to stress, you don't want to cause any complications, so you put it at the back burner. And now I have to deal with the physical challenges that came with pregnancy, which was the morning sickness. I had morning sickness from first trimester. If I tell you that I couldn't drink water, I couldn't eat anything, literally the smell of food, I would just throw up. So I was in and out of the hospital. So it was new experiences that I feel like I should have been told about before. But at the same time, I'm like, I kind of rushed into this. So maybe I should have done research on my end.
Yourself, yeah.
Yes, so it was a bit of a tricky situation. And families, you're young, they want to do dilokatsela, and when you're just like, no, I don't believe in that. I'm a 21st century woman, so I don't do things that way. And then there's like clashes of cultures between your partner and my culture. So they do certain things a certain way, and we don't do them that way. So it was a bit of, it was just, I wouldn't say a mess, but it was a lot.
Tough, yeah.
It was tough.
And how was your mental health before you fell pregnant?
It wasn't really the strongest, I won't lie. It wasn't really the strongest. I had just started grieving my loss. I lost my dad at 18. So after that, I had to adjust to life without him because I felt like as a girl, your daddy's girl. That's all I knew, right? So I had to adjust to life outside of my dad. And it was a bit of a challenge because everything I wanted to do was to make him proud. And now this person that's my cheerleader is no longer here with me. And he was my voice of reason. Where do I go? Who do I confide in? Because there's judgment also. You're young. Don't stress about it. You'll think about it in 10 years. But really, we don't have that much time to plan our lives. You need to know where you're going. In 5 years, where I want to be. In 10 years, I should be having this. So it was a bit of a struggle, and I had to put that at the back burner because there was school also. So I only started dealing with my dad's passing around COVID, because now there's nothing happening, there's no distractions, it's just you and your emotions and your thoughts. Everyone has moved on with their lives, and you can't hold that against them, because not everyone is there to save you. They can walk with you, but they're not supposed to walk all the way towards your destination. So I was alone with my thoughts, and it just came down home.
Yeah. It just shows what you're saying, that we often do that, push things. Because life, I always joke around and say, "Bophelo ke ambulance, re lla re tsamaya." You know, the ambulance never stops. It's wee, and then that wee is our problems. And that's how sometimes we deal with our problems, just like moving, like walking and running as you go through stuff, and forgetting that sometimes you have to stop and go through it and then start again. I guess what I'm saying is that that's what I'm picking up from you, that you've been going through stuff and then just shoving them back because you had to move on in your life. Yeah. And then your pregnancy after giving birth, how did you know that you do have postpartum? What were your symptoms?
Initially, it wasn't like I'm aware of what's going on. It just felt like it's auspicious. There was this exhaustion that wouldn't go away. No matter how much my partner tried to help me, he would say, I'll take time off work, focus on resting, just nourish your body, just try to be, just have your own time to yourself. I don't want you to neglect that part of you.
Yeah.
That exhaustion would not go away. There was this amount of sadness, because I remember sitting and I'm like, but God, I prayed for this child and I wanted this child. Why am I feeling like this now? There's a lot of confusion. Am I resenting having this child? Am I resenting this journey? Is there something in the background that's lingering that I did not deal with? What is it? So the signs, looking back at it now, there were signs, but I just did not think that it could be that, or pinpoint that it's this and that. I just felt like maybe it's me transitioning to motherhood.
Yeah. And these signs that you're talking about happened just after you've given birth or during the pregnancy?
It was after I've given birth.
Yeah. And support? Did you get any support from your family? Did they understand what you're going through?
Family was a bit far away, so it was just me and my partner. It's his first child also, so we were just kind of
figuring
this
out
whole thing. So he was at that time, and even now, I'm most comfortable talking to him about these things, because even when I published this book, I had to sit my mom down and I'm like, I'm not saying you failed me as a mom. I'm saying I also had my own set of challenges that I need you to acknowledge, and they have nothing to do with how you raised me.
Yeah.
Because they did not understand. Mara Kutlwano, I tried. Why over depressed? O depressed ke eng? Le na le DSTV kontlu mo depressed ke eng? O ja cheesy o depressed. So it was like, no, you need to acknowledge that I'm an individual and I go through life differently than you did. So these are my challenges, and this is who I feel comfortable talking to about these things. Not that I'm shutting anyone out, but at the time, he was my safe space. And I could just, even the slightest thought or doubt I had, and it did not make sense to him, he listened. That was all I needed.
And I work about holo, you're so right, because when we spoke with the psychologist, sometimes baholo, they don't get it, because I even asked her, did they go through what we go through? The anxiety and the depression, because when you tell them that you're anxious, and sometimes you don't know why you're feeling anxious, but they don't understand. So I guess that sit down with your mom had to happen, because she was not going to understand.
She wasn't going to understand
what you meant. And now going through it, take me through how it was, that sadness and darkness, like as you were experiencing it. How did it affect your relationship with your child?
I was on autopilot. It felt like motherhood was just a routine, like a job for me. I knew that Kakorapas 8 watsoha, I need to feed him. I need to pay them at this time. He sleeps at that time. And I would just sit like blank face throughout the whole time. So I missed out on a lot of milestones because of it felt like a job to me. It just felt like yes, it is a responsibility, but it was like hardened to me that just get it over and done with. So I missed out on a lot of milestones. I feel like it stripped me from the happiness I could have shared with my son at the time and my partner. Because if we're first-time parents, we should be happy, but there was just this sadness, and it was spiraling out of control. And because I kept losing control over certain things. 1 minute I'm dealing with the sadness. Okay, I think I have it figured out. I don't. Weight loss. One moment I'm dealing with my weight loss, hair loss comes up. So it was like something just kept coming. Can you find out that every day, like, something is wrong every day? And I took it out on me. I wasn't kind to myself. What's wrong with me? Am I broken? what did I do to be in this state? Did I do something to someone? Am I being punished for something? So I just took it out on myself. For the most part, I neglected myself so bad. I pushed myself so far away from myself that if someone set me down and said, you'll be on this podcast today, I wouldn't believe it.
You wouldn't believe. Yeah.
I didn't see any light coming out of it.
And as Black people, you know, we tap into different things. So it could be, hey, mewa next door,
auntie
mamang. Did that thought ever cross your mind? No, man, like you're saying, you have everything. Why are you going through what you're going through? Did it ever cross your mind?
Hey, how do you say obvious?
Yeah.
You're like, maybe it's go next door, go check but you need to be honest with yourself. So I had to sit down and just think about the issues I had before becoming a mother, and maybe they're surfacing.
Yeah.
You know, because now I'm forced to be in silence, and I'm forced to approach every version of myself I thought I had healed or buried. Now the Kutlwano that's not confident came up. Kutlwano that felt like she's not good enough came up. The Kutlwano that felt like, you know, I need to be a perfect mother, but reality is just not matching it. She caught up with me, and there was this burnout, and I was just so exhausted, so tired. I felt like I have nothing left to give it.
Yeah. And what was the turning point where you looked at yourself after being, like what you're saying, like you're drowning, you're sad, you're losing yourself, you're not happy with yourself, you're not happy with where you are. What was that turning point, and how did you get help?
The turning point was when I saw myself becoming something that I never wanted to become. I became this angry person at every little thing. I was angry at my partner, like, no, you made me pregnant. You put me in this position, so it's your fault. You know, I became angry at motherhood overall. And sometimes I would just feel like it's just not for me. So those things were not aligning with my character. I'm not an angry person. I do not lash out, and I do not confront situations. But that time I would start fights, you know, just like, oh no, you're the one that put me in this position, so you deal with it. Oh no, I'm not going to deal with this child. You deal with the child. You know? And also it comes from the fact that you're the default parent. No matter how much you'd want to say that you're in a loving relationship or marriage, the mother is always the default parent. You worry the most. So I was just so tired of that. And that was the turning point for me, because I was like, no, I can't go this route. Then I'll neglect my child. And then I will replicate things that I did not want to pass down into my new family. So that was the turning point for me.
Yeah. And help? How did you get help? Who helped you?
Again, my partner.
No.
He's the one that highlighted a few signs and shared some websites and said, you know, I think you should look at this.
No, man.
You know, I think you should try reading about this. At first I was like, but then I was like, let me just give it a shot. And I started doing some research, and I'm like, you know, since I can't tell him how I feel, or I don't know how to say it, let me write it down. So then the journal started. It was just my diary session, and I just started writing down all my feelings, started asking myself questions and all these things. And that's where I realized that actually, yes, I do need a lot of help.
Yeah. And the writing and the diary, I mean, it's a thing that we used to do when we were little. If you have a book, nyana, you and your dear diary. English, sorry, dear diary. How has writing, how has that experience helped you to heal?
It helped me strip away my pain, put it aside, and look at it from third person. So I sat down around the pain, watched it. I was able to track my triggers, my habits. I know a lot of people don't like when I say sometimes postpartum depression stems from how you grow up. You know, there was this emotional avoidance at home about talking about feelings. I love you wasn't a thing. So it came from that probably. Then I noted it down. Where did I learn these things from? And this idea of motherhood that I had in my mind, who inspired that? You know, so I wrote down all my deepest thoughts, fears, and doubts. And that helped me regulate my emotions, and it helped me with self-compassion, because after writing I would be so kind to myself, like I man got a PS, wait,
Yeah, we
just I wrote something, I did something today.
Yeah.
It started like that. It started as like micro moments of self-care, and then
Oh,
it just
wow.
became a routine now, where I'm like, I'm looking forward to my next facial, I'm looking forward to my next book club, I'm looking forward to making friends now, and all these things. So it just started as writing.
Yeah. And the journal, did you share it with your partner?
He illustrated,
Okay.
he designed, he did everything. So it was just a set of questions, and he's like, yeah, sure, man. How about you add more of your personal experience into it, so that, because there's a mom out there that's going through something that you're going through, and she doesn't know it. So it shouldn't be just you being an author. You should be a voice for someone else. So yeah, he's the brains. I just wrote.
What a blessing, hey?
Yes.
Especially in this day and age where most women would say, I don't have that. It's just me and my thoughts and my problem. It's either motu salas abalia, I guess it's not all that bad.
It's not.
You know what I mean? Sometimes see, you can't have it all. But at the same time, sometimes it's not, you look at your life and you're like, actually, it's not all that bad. Because if he was not there, where would you be? You know what I mean? Emotionally and all of that.
It would have
That's
taken
beautiful.
longer.
Yeah. And how did he deal with that? Like, what helped him to help you? Because some partners would be impatient or, oh my God, she's crazy. Because sometimes men look at us and think we are crazy. Yeah, we are sometimes. But where he doesn't, not gore ke motho o mobe, it's just that they don't understand.
I think it comes back to how he grew up.
Yeah.
And the fact that he also wanted a family. And I would put myself in his shoes and be like, he probably just sat down and looked at me and like, this is not the person I fell in love with, so I need to try help her. So he had to put his emotions aside and the joys of being a father aside to try help me, so that we enjoy this together. So I did see that it was a bit hard on him, but he helped through for the both of us.
Yeah. And you're here today. You are sharing your story, which is beautiful, and you're still alive. Because some people, it goes as far as suicide or being suicidal and whatnot. And where is your son in all of this? Like, while you are planning to write, how is your relationship with your son now, since you experienced Tore, you missed out on some of the milestones because of what you're going through?
Oh, now I'm a helicopter mom. I'm just here.
Yeah.
Wherever he is, I am there. I'm making sure that I don't miss out on anything. Where my son is, you'll find me. Where I am, you'll find him. We're so close.
Yeah.
Like, he's my sunshine.
Yeah.
He's my sunshine, and I'm making up for lost time, but also I'm loving it now. It's different because now I'm parenting with intention.
Wow.
And now I'm not trying to replicate an environment that I was in now. So he's more happier, he's lively, and he just brings the best out of me.
Yeah. And let's talk more about the book. Now that you're out, you're done just writing your thoughts on your own piece of paper and with your pen. Your partner advises you write more, and here is the book. How has the book itself, not just the writing, the book itself and you sharing your story healed you? Because that's how I came across your post on TikTok, because I spend a lot of time on TikTok and my algorithm is about, obviously, what I search: motherhood, children, and dogs, because I love dogs. That's what I see most of the time on my algorithm. And I saw your story. And what made you decide, first of all, before we go to the book, to publicly just share your journey on TikTok?
Because I felt like postpartum struggles are overlooked, and it's a silent battle, and it's not nice going through something by yourself.
Yeah.
Because we live in a world where everyone just consumes stuff on social media. I wrote about it also, that I would look at these mummies and be like, how do you have abs? You just gave birth, ma'am. And I'm just sitting here trying to go back. So there are other women that are forcing to live up to the version that social media sells, that this is how motherhood should look like. So that's why I decided to be bold and just
tell the
be
truth.
bare and say, you know what, it's raw, it's unfiltered, it's not perfect, but it's still my journey.
Yeah.
So I was hoping to touch someone else's heart.
And we actually touched on it with the psychologist, that social media does contribute to some mothers feeling very low because of, like you're saying, I will not post, You know, when you're breastfeeding, the other boob is leaking.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're posting, like you're saying, it's the abs, keep breathing in, the makeup and the lashes, aesthetics, but the
nursery with the big letters, and when are you just somewhere go heal save any a room that doesn't have all those things, and you feel like your journey is not good enough.
That's true. And then the book. Tell me more about the book. Get Growing Graceful. Yeah, graceful.
So the book is a postpartum journal, a self-discovery journal. So it's, when I wrote it, initially the questions were set for me. They were in 4 parts.
Yeah.
So the first section covers the where you are, discovering where you are. That's building self-awareness and setting intention. So before you move forward, you need to know where you are and you need to know where you come from. That's your issues that you've left behind and how you're feeling now in motherhood. And then the second part is challenging negative thought patterns like your social media. Do you see yourself in that light because your mind told you, or do you see yourself like that because of the stories you were told or internalized pain? So that's the second part. The third part then involves emotional regulation, where now you're more aware of your emotions, what triggers you, what overwhelms you. You need to track them down. You need to avoid certain things that trigger you so that you make this journey easier for you. And self-compassion, where you show yourself some kindness. Because it's so easy to give someone else kindness, but you don't do the same for you.
True.
And you can't mother on an empty cup. That's impossible. And then the fourth part, that's me saying, you're a mom, yes, but you can't be that mom. Dream on. You know, where do you see yourself in 10 years? What do you want? What life do you want for yourself and your child? You know, what goals do you feel like you left behind and you need to resume back to? So it's just about, it's a hugging book form, you know, so it's just me carrying you step by step throughout the process of postpartum.
And how's your mental health now?
I will say I feel like myself again.
Yeah.
Not in a healed, completed way.
Of course, yeah.
But this new person that I've become, I'm learning. So every day is an experience. Every day is an adventure. Like I said, the white hair.
And now the makeup.
You know, so it's just me learning myself a bit more, trying to get things that I probably wanted when I was a teenager and couldn't have. So it's just an experience. I'm just like discovering myself. I'm in a friendship with myself a bit.
That's beautiful. And then friendship with your mom? How's that?
My mom and I are pretty close.
Yeah.
She has her own struggles with understanding how I go about parenting. You know, moms, they want to...
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, so it's a bit of a struggle here with the advices and all that. But we do reach some common ground. She acknowledges that I'm a mother. Yes, I'm a daughter, but I'm a mother. And
I think you should start writing a book about that.
Yes.
You know, the struggles that we go through with how our parents, things that we have to unlearn, number one, and how our parents, the way thing is not the same as how we are now. For example, I'm very affectionate. I hug my daughter. I kiss her. My mom is not.
Exactly.
And when you do it in front of her, king, like, no.
Or you show a little bit of affection. King, like,
you know what I mean? And I wish we could sit on a round table. You know, and because my mom doesn't want, like, not, and I know she loves me, but I'm not affectionate with her. I don't just randomly kere. You know how we are with our kids.
The way of showing you how ba go rata o aja o kene skolo.
Yeah, I was in a school, yeah.
O apere diaparo o sharp.
Yeah.
Mama kana tlampotsa mara.
What do you want from me?
Go tsentse dikolo tse di sharp o
mpatla. Yeah. All of a sudden. And what's your favorite like, because ke bona gore it's not chapter, but your favorite.
My favorite part.
My
favorite part is the question that I asked myself the most. How can I be open-minded and mindful to unexpected moments during motherhood? It could be a tantrum that your child just threw in public. It could mean that you had a breakdown, something triggered you. So in every aspect of your life, that question relates to it. So that's my favorite question. I asked myself that a lot. And I have a system in the book of, will it matter in the next year? If it doesn't matter, don't waste your time on it. Do not put a lot of effort. Do not burn yourself out. Do not overexert yourself if it won't matter in a year.
Yeah, yeah. And what advice would you give to a mom besides obviously getting the book?
Obviously.
What advice would you give to a mom right now who has just discovered, oh, actually, Kutlwano o bua ka nna? You know, some people, I guess the purpose of these podcasts is not, obviously everyone has a podcast now, but the purpose of certain or some podcasts is it's about having such conversations and someone watching and realizing, damn, that's me. You know, what advice would you give them? They just discovered now, I am going through something.
Well, my advice to them would be, do not be scared of being in silence with all your issues, because postpartum only directs you where you need healing the most. It doesn't take away from motherhood, doesn't take away from you being a woman. It's just simply guiding you where you need healing the most.
Yeah.
So don't be scared to confront every version of yourself that you thought you've healed. Do not be scared to sit in silence with those emotions, because then you're building self-awareness, and that's just how you can move forward.
Yeah. And did you go to the doctor? Like, you know, sometimes but after these symptoms, you must go and diagnose, or you just knew that these signs, the symptoms.
I just knew.
You knew.
I just knew. You, as a person, you know yourself. I just knew, this is this.
Yeah. And then where can we get the book?
On my website, kutlwanorights.co.za.
Yeah, that's where you get the book. Are you going to write more? Or?
Yes, I'm working on should I say it?
Hey, I can't.
I'm working on a book called Whispers from the Womb. It's actually for moms who are navigating the child loss. So I don't want to leave them behind. I want them to be a part of my community as well.
Yeah.
I don't, just because you lost your child doesn't mean you're not a mother anymore.
Yeah.
You carried that child.
Yeah.
So I want you in my community. I want to move with you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And do you think your miscarriage, did you deal with the loss of your child?
I don't think I dealt with it at the time.
Yeah.
It was just one of those, it happens.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was told. You go home, it's like, it happens, it's life.
And how far were you?
I think I was 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you think by any chance maybe it somehow contributed with that emptiness and sadness with the new pregnancy?
It did, because you're like, I don't want my angel baby to feel like I love current baby more. I don't want current baby to feel like he's filling the shoes of or the void of the angel baby. So it was a complete, I was conflicted.
Yeah.
I was stuck between a rock and a hard place. So I couldn't be happy, but I couldn't be too sad.
Yeah.
I was just neutral.
Yeah. But here you are now.
Here I am today.
Strong. And the one thing I always say to moms, you realize when you're pregnant or mudimudeng. And when you're pregnant, or God is a genius, hey? A whole human being growing inside of you. There's absolutely no way it's gonna be just a breeze, baton.
No, it's not. But
even if you don't have the postpartum depression, I had anxiety, even a small anxiety about how is your child gonna come out healthy, even though the scans are showing that everything is fine, but you don't know, you know. And I think you did well, and well done on the book.
Thank you.
Continue sharing those stories. I mean, I didn't know you. I just saw you on TikTok. I didn't even follow you. I just saw you on TikTok. I'm like, how interesting is this? And using that platform in that way, that not everything about pregnancy is what we see with the abs and everything looking good. It's tough.
And the $1 million strollers.
And the $1 million strollers. I don't know. We don't have those $1 million strollers, but we do have a book. Thank you so much, Kutlwano, for coming and for your sharing your story.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. And also the book is here. It's on my website in Kutlwano, and also we are available on Spotify and Apple.